Hey listeners, today we visit Malaysia to talk to Jes Min Lua, founder at Recomn.com. Stay tuned.
Welcome to The Asian Entrepreneur, where we take a look inside the lives of the accomplished and successful businessmen and women. We'll get up close and personal with the founders of booming startups with an occasional famous name, so we can get entrenched in the mindset and activities that made them who they are today. Lean in and prepare to carry away something to skyrocket your own business.
Hi listeners, I'm your host Rajiv Unikrishnan, and this is the show where we talk about entrepreneurship and speak to great founders and personalities. Today we have with us Jes Min Lua, founder at Recomn.com, a place to find recommended services in Malaysia. Welcome, Jes Min.
Hi, thank you so much, Rajiv.
Okay, just a brief background. Jes Min was born in Kuala Lumpur. Her parents were entrepreneurs in the electrical business. In her own words, her awesome sister is into business development at one of the top tier audit firms. Education-wise, she studied at Taylor's College in Malaysia, did a master's in mechanical engineering at the University of Bath, UK, and her MBA at INSEAD. Currently, she lives in KL, but also lived in Jakarta and Bangkok for several years. Trivia, personally, she spent several months in Kenya, Rwanda, and Ethiopia making investments in social ventures. Other than Recomn, her passions include social venture capital and helping small businesses and communities grow. And that's the reason she's on the show. Personally, she's just given birth to a baby girl. Congrats, Jes Min.
Thank you very much.
And professionally, she has helped some of the largest multinationals in the world grow their business across Southeast Asia, namely Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Hong Kong, and more. Before Recomn, she spent years at Accenture and Bain. And today she runs Lemonade Ventures and more relevant to the show, Recomn. Let's see some data on Recomn. It aims to be Southeast Asia's premier platform for finding service professionals that are recommended by the community. Some brief traffic stats. Since launching in 2015, they have served more than 200,000 visitors and helped 2,000 service professionals grow their business. The business attracts service professionals of excellent quality, whom are rated on average 4.8 stars. Recomn are currently in Malaysia and Indonesia and growing to more countries within Southeast Asia. So, Jes Min, is that intro okay? Anything to add?
Well, yeah, that's an excellent intro. I'll probably just say a little bit more along the way,
Sure.
if it ever comes. Yeah.
Okay. Let's get into the product first. What inspired the idea for your service product?
Well, really the inspiration came from a need. So it was about 3 years ago when my husband and I were planning for our wedding. We didn't have much funds, we didn't have much time. I was working on a merger in Hong Kong at the same time. So we needed to find a videographer at a very short notice to record videos of our wedding. And we went online, we searched, and it looked like, we found this guy with a decent portfolio. And we hired him. And a week after the wedding, I woke up to an SMS saying, "I'm so sorry, I lost all your wedding videos because I lost my bag and I didn't keep an extra copy elsewhere." And we were very upset. Being a girl, you obviously want to record every moment of your wedding. So what we did was my dad and I, we went all around, Cheras, sticking up notices. Lost 10,000 ringgit. Reward for finding lost videos, and we stuck it on every bus, every shop lot, and we never found those videos back. But what I remember thinking is that when you hire a service, there's really two different bits of information you need to have: what that person says he can do, what that professional says he can do, and also what his previous customers say he can do. And the first point you get in all his marketing collaterals, his website and all that, but the reviews of his existing customers or his previous customers, now that is something that is really very much missing. So that, kind of formed the basis of what Recommend was all about. We wanted to gather together some of the community's best recommendations for local services.
Okay.
And be able to help them grow their business so that more and more people get access to these services. And it is our dream that one day no one in Malaysia ever has to say, the service here sucks. Because we have helped them identify the good ones.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's the story.
Okay, and today, Recommend, how does it work in terms of a platform? I mean, like, what is a user in terms of the, let's say the provider side, how does it work?
Sure. So this is how it works. So if you are looking for a service, you can come to our website or use our mobile app, and you say, okay, I'm getting married. I'm looking for a photographer. My wedding is on a certain date. This is my budget, and these are the sort of photos that I was hoping that he'll be able to take. And we'll take the requirements. We will push it to our hundreds of photographers in the back end to see which of them are ideally suited for this. And they will then, write back with quotations, including, their portfolio, what reviews they have, and basically their contact details as well. So we look through these and we pass them up to 4 quotations back to you in a matter of hours, really. So it's very quick for you to be able to get some quotations.
Yes, of course.
Yes, and you're able to contact them, right? On the service professional side, instead of chasing all over town for potential customers, all you do is every day in your email as well as your mobile dashboard, you're able to see all the requests that are matched to a certain category or a certain location, right? And you're able to say, okay, these are the customers that are right for me, and I want to approach them, or I want to write a quotation to them. So what we'll do is, we pass these quotations back to the customer so that the customer can look at a few quotations and decide which are the best ones for them.
Oh, great. Okay. And are you running on a, let's say, ad model, freemium model, or is there a subscription fee as such?
Right now, we only charge service professionals a very minimal fee for writing a quotation back to the customer. And we aim that they're able to recover their costs in maybe just 1 or 2 jobs, that sort of thing. So it's a very minimum cost. Yes, and they do that for every customer that they would like to approach.
Okay, that's great. And what about, in terms of funding stage, like probably bootstrap still or raised funds?
Right now, we are still bootstrapped, because we have got quite good cash flows coming in. But we are also aiming to raise funds because right now we are in Malaysia and Indonesia, but we want to raise funds to be able to cover the rest of Southeast Asia and who knows, even beyond. So that's what we are raising funds for.
That would be great. So you already started your road shows as such, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Okay. And in terms of product, what are the next steps? I mean, the next few, let's say, since we already just started 2016, plans for this year?
Well, the plans are, we already have a standard platform that matches customers and service professionals. And this is not just on the web, it's also mobile responsive, and we have an app as well for service professionals as well as customers. I think our aim for this year is very much expansion. And expansion while still keeping our excellent quality levels. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but one of our major differentiators are, quality. We make sure that when we match, we don't just match by availability and who is willing to quote the quickest, but we actually look at the reviews. We look at the requirements to see whether there is a very good match. And because of that, we actually managed to get on average 4.8 stars. Out of 5 for our service professionals, and that is unprecedented in Malaysia. I mean, it's just amazing in that sense. So we are aiming to scale while making sure that our quality is very much kept intact, and the model that we have will need to be adapted for every single country that we enter.
Yes, correct. So you do a lot of vetting of the service professionals. They're not just it's not just everyone who can start providing services, right?
Oh, absolutely not. We have the basic tier where, people come in, they give us their business ID, we do some basic vetting. But we also have this thing called a verified professional program where in order to, join the verified professional program, they need to at least have 4 or 5 stars consistently. And we actually call 3 of their previous customers in order to vet them. See, the thing about services is you can never tell how good a plumber is by having coffee with him for 4 hours, right?
Correct.
You really need to speak to someone who he has served. And and with that basic understanding in mind, we believe in vetting previous customers rather than anything else, really.
Oh, okay, that's great. So now, in terms of starting up in Malaysia, I mean, how is it compared to, let's say, we have a lot of activity in, say, India or Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam. How is Malaysia been overall? Or is it really moving fast?
Well, I think in Malaysia, it's fairly easy to start up a company. You can do that, a private company. I think the Sendirian Berhad, you can do it in a few days. If it's one of those sole proprietorships, you can do it in like a day pretty much. So starting up a company is fairly easy and the costs are pretty low, I think. And I think that Malaysia, in the perspective of sort of like Southeast Asia, is one of the easier countries to start up a business and to validate your business model. And I guess the reason is because we have such diversity in terms of our culture, and people here are quite I wouldn't say accepting, but they are quite forgiving, of mistakes and so on when you start up. So I think Malaysia is actually an ideal startup base within Southeast Asia.
And I think it's big enough to actually carry on for at least a year before thinking of any sort of expansion outside,
Yeah, absolutely. It's there's always 2 ways to do it, right? You can either start in one country and build your business within that country and hope that you're able to provide enough services to the Malaysian market such that you are profitable. Or you can say, my model needs to be regional in order to be sustainable, and then you grow outside. But like you say, Malaysia is an ideal test bed because it is quite similar to the rest of Southeast Asia in that, if something is true in Malaysia, chances are it will also be very useful in Indonesia or Thailand or Philippines.
Great. Now moving out of business, let's go to who were your greatest influencers in life?
Influencers, wow, there's so many. But if I need to really pick the one influencer, I would say that my dad has been, one of the biggest influencers in my life. And it's hard to run out of the influence of your parents. They for me, 30 years of my life. Yeah, but why I found that my dad was an influencer because, there are different types of people in the world, and some people see problems and complications and risks everywhere. But where other people see problems, my dad always see opportunities. When somebody, for example, comes and proposes an interesting business, people would say, that's so risky, you won't be able to hire people and, they'll scam you and stuff like that. And my dad would always say, look, there are people who got rich opening restaurants. There are people who got rich on palm oil, selling soil, collecting cardboard boxes. You can be successful doing so many things as long as you work hard and you commit your resources to achieving something. That has underpinned a lot of, the decisions that I made in life and as well as how we run Recomn.com.
Okay. And what are the best advice or wisdom you have been given?
Oh, wow. There's been so many, to be honest. Well, I quite like something, actually even my dad mentioned a long time ago. I'm of the personality where I always try and wait for the best possible opportunity to come along. Everything that ticks, 8 out of 10 boxes and then I start. But what he says is, if you're trying to get to an island on the east side of the ocean, for example, you don't wait for a ship that is going towards that exact island before you move, because you'll be waiting 20 years before that happens. But what you do is you take a ship that is headed east, and you take that ship, and when you get to slightly nearer to your destination, there will be other ships that are going there as well. So you just move to the next ship that will get you slightly closer, and then you choose the next ship that will get you closer, and then one day you will get there at a much faster rate than if you did wait for that exact same ship. So I think entrepreneurship is a little bit like that. You want to start up something, but things are not perfect for the moment, or you don't know the answer that you are looking for. But it's okay. You take a few steps. You take a few steps forward, and then you'll be able to see more. And when you're able to see more, you're able to make better decisions that enable you to take another few steps in, whatever direction. And once you get there, again, you can see more. Then you can take a few more steps, right? I think that is something that I and, probably a lot of entrepreneurs out there should take into consideration.
Yeah,
just do something.
I guess instead of seeing end of 2 years, probably just take every month as it comes and run your business. Becomes
pretty much. Yeah. But always keep your eye out for the island, right? Because otherwise, somewhere else.
And other than your dad, who were some of your mentors?
Oh, I've had mentors I'm from consulting. So along the way, I've met many excellent consultants who are right now, out there in the business. I've met people from some of the largest companies in the world, insurance companies, palm oil companies, that have been my mentors all along. So I have quite a few, actually, too many to name on the show, and so embarrassed as well.
Okay, moving on. When did you know you were meant for entrepreneurship?
I thought about that a long time, and I don't think anybody really, has that light bulb moment where they say, yes, I'm going to, I'm born an entrepreneur, I'm just going to go for it. I think it's a culmination of a few things. Like, for example, you come across a problem that you feel it's a big one, right? And you think, there must be a way of doing this slightly better. And then you think about it and you come across a solution, or you think up a solution that you think, this is not bad, I wouldn't mind trying it out. And at that moment, perhaps your resources allows you to do it. And probably you're drunk enough, or you're brave enough to do it. And then suddenly you realize, hey, you are starting up something new, or you are, building something from ground up. And I think that's how we actually find ourselves being entrepreneurs. The desire to make a difference in something that we feel is a problem enough.
Correct. And how do you measure success? Is it bottom line, lifestyle, or family?
Can I say it's neither of those three things?
Of course, you can add your own.
Yeah, because, I ask this question to people all the time, right? I'm one of those annoying people that say, what is the meaning of life? What is success to you? What does all this mean? And a lot of people come to me and say, oh, the meaning of my, success is happiness, or the meaning of success is when I have 2 bungalows and I've got another 3 houses rented out and I've got lots of passive income. Or I'm able to trade forex, and earn 200,000 ringgit a day just sitting on my PC. I think people define success in many, many ways. But for me, what success really is finding out what your purpose in life is and dedicating the bulk of your resources and energy towards achieving that. Because I believe that we all have a very short time on this earth, and we have to be very careful about where we spend our time and what we want to achieve. And if we don't know where we are trying to go to, it's very hard to know what to do in order to get there. So I think, success is really finding out what your purpose is, and also being able to get closer to it.
I need to
every day. Yeah.
I need to tweak this question for my next show.
You should, actually.
Okay, what drives you to continue your entrepreneurship?
I could say the fact that I wouldn't say succeeded, because then I'll just be, going against what I just said. But the fact that I haven't, we as a team haven't achieved the kind of regional impact of millions that we were hoping to, at the beginning. We have achieved, some moderate success within our country. We've got very happy customers. We've had thousands of service professionals, grow their business by working with us. But really what we are aiming to is a solution that is regional, where, when you go to Bangkok, when you go to Philippines, when you go to Vietnam, you hear the name Recomn, or whatever our localized name is for that. And you hear people say, oh yeah, excellent platform. I got a cake baker on Recomn. I got a photographer on Recomn, or house renovation contractor on Recomn. It was so easy and made my life so easy. That is actually our aim.
Soon, I'm sure.
I hope so.
What was the lowest point in your entrepreneurial career, and how did you get out of it and determine to continue?
That's a very interesting question, because as an entrepreneur, you go through ups and downs, and it could actually be, on a daily basis, you're like,
of course,
this thing happened and that thing happened. I think as an entrepreneur, what is usually quite difficult to accept is, for example, the market rejecting your product. You put so much time and effort, a few months designing something, and you put it out there and no one cares. That is one of the downs, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, some of the other downs would be, if your competitor raises a huge round of funding and you're like, oh no, he's going to have so many more bullets than I do.
Yeah.
But I think the worst down that we've ever had was not being prepared for success. So in our very early days, when we first launched the market, we were pretty much the first ones with such a innovative idea out there. And the Star did a piece on us. And in a space of a few hours, our traffic went up something like, 50 or 100 times. And our website crashed.
Okay.
It crashed for a few hours. And it was so upsetting because, it's not easy to get an interview so good or with such wide, reaching audience. And then your website crashes. So, so I think not positioning yourself well for success or not being ready for success is probably the worst down ever.
So did you all immediately have to ramp up your resources post that?
Yeah, basically we were like, hey, what's going on? Why is the website down? And you have very important people in the market, VCs and all that, texting you and say, hey, Jes, great article, but what's up with your website?
Yeah. It happens, yep.
So it was literally one of our downs,
And during your these years, was there ever a moment where you thought okay, that's it, I don't want to continue?
Oh, all the time. Yeah, you think that, right? And you're like, it's so tiring. I'm not sure I can do this anymore. And then you go and take a nap or you take a shower or you have a meal with some of your friends. And then you come back and you say, hey, you know what? Life is not easy. You have challenges that comes from so many different angles. You're not prepared for so many different things. And you need to pretty much do everything. But it is still so much better to do what you feel is, purposeful and meaningful to you compared to being part of an organization you don't believe in, for example. So for all the, disappointments and challenges and all that, I think most of us stick it out because it is still so much better than the alternative.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And in terms of product or service creation, did you have any failure? What would that be?
In terms of product creation?
Yeah.
In terms of product creation, we very much use a lean startup approach where we will build something very simply, an MVP, and then we'll go out there and we'll test it in the market. And, depending on what the market actually says, we actually come back and iterate and change the product along the way. So I wouldn't say it's a huge disappointment or a huge change, but really very small changes being done along the way, all the way actually, to get our product where it is today.
It's a very agile approach, basically.
Yes, very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you meet, since you started your road shows and over time, I think you meet so many people. Have you ever dissociated yourself from someone who didn't mesh or flow along the same path as you?
Well, meeting people, I think, we do meet lots of entrepreneurs and VCs and all different types of people. And I think it's very much like in a social scene where you naturally, flow yourself or, hang out more with people who are similar to you, either, from a background perspective or they have similar values. So I don't remember ever saying, oh, he's so different from me, I don't want to be like him. But I definitely, feel a sense of kinship or a very much closer relationship to people who share the same values and want to achieve the same kind of things for the world. So, for example, one of the groups of people which I really felt a very close connection to were my peers who went to Stanford, the very first Magic E at Stanford cohort. We're still very much good friends today. We meet up, we have drinks, we talk about things, we brainstorm how to help each other and things like that. I think it's very important for entrepreneurs to be able to find people who are similar to them, who understand the challenges and who can basically, pick them up when they are having their down days.
In terms of daily life, how does your average day look like?
I don't have an average day. And actually, I guess actually my definition of an average day has changed a lot, since having a baby. I'm still trying to find that average day. But it could range from many things, having interviews, people like you, meeting up with potential business partners to see what we can do together, fielding calls from customers, either very happy calls or calls to improve our operations. I could be having calls with the team, either strategizing or problem solving, or even playing paintball in the office. Not paintball actually. What's that thing? The water gun.
Yeah.
It's the Nerf guns. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a bit too old for that, but having Nerf gun wars in the office. So a day could be so many things that impossible to have an average day.
I'm sure I'm going to visit your office soon.
Yes, please. Very much.
Take part in that.
Welcome. Yes, please come. Work out of our office is good fun.
Okay, and when making business relationships, what characteristics do you typically look for?
Right. There are many things that you look for in a business relationship, depending on what sort of business relationship. But I think the one important thing is trust. You got to be able to believe that this person wants the same things as you in the grand scale, right? He wants the same things as you, and you are able to trust him to take actions that lead you towards that outcome. So it's quite difficult, I think, to work with people whom you don't trust, or you always suspect, is he really meaning what he says, or is he just doing it for show? So I think trust is probably the most important thing to look out for. And if you ask many of the very successful people out there, right, CEOs of large corporations and a lot of it, they make business relationships with trust as well. It's not so much of the, what are the 17 bullet points of what you will do for me. And that's very important as well. I mean, the paperwork, the legalities and all that. But in the end, it's all about trust, right? Whether or not you believe this person is, in it with you for the long term.
Yeah,
Yep.
Very true.
Yep.
And are you involved in hiring, and if so, what characteristics typically do you look for in candidates?
Right. Yes, definitely. We have colleagues that actually deal with the hiring. Very excellent colleagues I have. But what we look for in a candidate is a few things. But I think the main things we look for is spirit and hunger. Spirit, because there's something inherent, I think, in a person where they, have this energy to do something different, to try something new, to persevere even though things are difficult. This is what we're trying to look for: the right kind of spirit, the right kind of flexibility, the right kind of desire to make a change. And hunger, we look for that as well, because someone who is hungry will always try harder than someone who isn't. Right.
Absolutely.
And if you look at and successful entrepreneurs out there, a lot of them, the successful ones, were very hungry at the beginning. And hungry does not mean that they didn't have anything to eat, right? Hungry just means that they are, quote unquote, desperate to make things better. And that is what we look for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And just final few, what do you believe is the most important element to success in business?
I think the most important element in success in business is probably two different factors. The first one is grit. I don't know if you ever saw this TED Talk by this lady called Angela Lee Duckworth. And she talks about grit and how a lot of times, entrepreneurs or anybody who is successful actually starts out with a series of failures. Because they either don't have the model right, or the world isn't ready for them, or they weren't ready for the world. But they got, they failed, and then they changed something, and they tried again. And then they failed, and they changed something, and they tried again. And eventually they got where they were aiming to get. Not because they were so brilliant at it at the beginning, but because if you keep trying and trying and trying, and you make small changes all the time to improve your game, you will become good at it one day. And so I think grit is a very, very important factor, not just giving up when you find the first kind of like failure and say, this is too difficult, I'm just going back to, playing video games or whatever.
Yeah.
but trying to say like, okay, that didn't go so well. Let me see what I can do to fix it for the next time. So the first one is great.
Yep.
The second one is timing, actually. Being able to pick the timing in which you enter the market. There were so many ideas out there that were, fantastical flop when they were first launched, but many years down the line, when people actually got to their way of thinking, they become very huge successes. So I think timing and grit, two things that are ideal.
Yeah. I always mention luck being a good factor also.
Yeah, absolutely. But the funny thing with luck, right, is that people who work harder tend to be luckier. Do you find that?
I guess, yeah, if the idea is that good, yes. I mean, if the product is good, definitely.
Yeah, but the thing is, even if the product wasn't good and he or she tried to improve it again and again and again and never gave up, I mean, eventually it would be a much better product, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I do believe that people who work hard tend to get luckier and luckier at life.
Okay, a part of the show where we do like a kind of a quick fire. When people ask you, what do you do? How do you answer that?
Wow. When people ask me, what do I do? I say, I am one of the co-founders of Recomn, and we connect customers to service professionals who are recommended by the community.
Excellent. When you think of the word successful, who is the first person that comes in mind and why?
I know it's really corny, but I think it's Mother Teresa.
Not at all corny.
Yeah, and I think it's Mother Teresa because, her entire life was dedicated towards a purpose. And she didn't regret very much of, how she spent her time and things like that. Whereas there are a lot of very successful people around us, on their deathbed, they are desperately penning things like 10 things I wish I knew when I was 21 and, 20 regrets that I have. I don't think Mother Teresa had a single regret. She spent all her days purposefully and meaningfully. And it's to her, it's very clear that that's her purpose on earth. So I think about her as being successful.
What are the most common misconceptions about you?
Everything. Oh my God, misconceptions. I don't know. I think I'm a pretty open person, so I don't think I have many misconceptions. People think I tell lame jokes. That is true. People think I'm slightly crazy. That is also true. So you know what? No misconceptions. They are all true.
Okay. And what do you excel at that people might not realize?
Well, if I excel at something, I make sure people realize. That is what being a business person is, right? Really.
Yeah.
I'm good at something. Yes, the world has to know.
Okay, and if you instantly lost everything, what steps would you take to become successful again?
I'm not sure if it's ever possible to instantly lose everything.
Yeah, I doubt.
Yeah, actually, it depends on what is the value of your life, right? In a sense, because if you equate value to 20 million in net worth and having all these stocks and big houses and a really hot wife, it is possible to lose everything. But if you the value of your life is very much about what you are about, your faith, your religion, something you hold to, which is not material. I don't know if it's possible to lose all of that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
Yeah.
Very true. Okay, and what is something you believe in that other people think is insane?
I believe that we shouldn't save the pandas.
That's a completely new one I'm hearing for the first time.
No, I think that, every time I hear of panda, and people are going to get so angry at this because I have actually had conversations with people about this where, it ended in tears. And they say, oh my God, you're so cruel. How can you not save them? They're black and white. They're so cute, right? And recently we had the 1,000 pandas or something going through malls all over the world. The reason I think that we shouldn't save pandas are that, in the world and how, evolution works, it is natural that we lose some things and we gain some things. And the only way to really move forward and grow and transform is to let some things go, And the pandas, I feel, are one of those things that it's time for us to let them go. I mean, they're really cute and all that. but they eat 20 kgs of bamboo a day. They get so little nourishment from the 20 kgs that they have to keep eating all day, and they don't stop at all. They don't breed unless you really put them in the right conditions to breed, play them videos and, do massages or whatever. And then maybe they will breed once in 2 years. And they don't do very much at all. They don't add any sort of value to the world apart from, being cute. So I don't know why we're still hanging on to these pandas. We should just let them go in peace,
Life should move on, you're correct.
Yeah, we should just let them go in peace, really.
Favorite movie?
Oh, Gone Girl.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
I love Gone Girl. Have you watched Gone Girl?
Yes, I did.
And did you read the book?
No, people said the book was better.
I don't know. I think they are great in their own ways.
Yeah.
And the reason I find that it's great is that, it starts out a certain way and you think, oh yeah, I know how this ends. And then it twists and you're like, oh, okay, that was weird. Then it'll tell you, okay, I know how this ends. And then it twists again and keeps doing, that again and again until the end of the movie.
Yeah.
At the end of it, your mind is so screwed up. You think like, oh, I didn't understand anything at the beginning. And, isn't life like that?
Yeah.
We start out thinking, when we are 15 years old, like, oh, we understand the world. And then at 21, we're like, oh, we're so much wiser. And then at 30, you're like, so much wiser. And then at 80, you realize that you never understood anything all the way. All the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ken, what book are you reading right now?
Okay, right now I'm reading, actually all I'm reading now are baby books now. So I'm reading this one called The First Year, where it kind of charts out, month by month, what milestones are you supposed to reach, what are the things to look out for, when do you see a doctor, when do you panic, when do you not. And I was just thinking the other day, man, wouldn't that be great if there was one for startup entrepreneurship as well? That would be so excellent, I would just love it. So yeah, here's an idea for you.
Yeah. It's a very interesting journey, I must say. Yep. And finally, one last thought or piece of advice that you may have missed or you want our listeners to hear.
Wow, advice.
Just one piece of advice.
Just one. Okay, so this one piece of advice, I've always felt that this phrase is very meaningful to me. Leap and the net will appear. And I can't remember who actually said it, but I can give it to you at the end of the call, I think. But it means that, you just need to have the faith to make that leap, even though you don't understand what's coming, who will come out and save you, what views you will have along the way. But you should always leap. And you need to trust that, you will not completely fail because, if you think back on your life, right, how many of your experiences actually killed you? And if you're alive to hear this, the answer is none. So if none of the things that, or the terrible things that have happened to you before have managed to kill you, it's quite unlikely that this one will. So you should just leap and that will appear. Yeah.
Very true. Okay, and finally, where do you want our listeners to go or after listening to the show? Any URLs or anything else? Any giveaways as such from your end?
Well, definitely. If you ever, hello listeners out there, if you ever feel a need or if you're ever going through an important moment in your life, a wedding, building your first home, doing some serious renovations or celebrating your grandmother's 80th birthday and you want to create something memorable, you want to work with people you can trust, head on over to Recomn.com. And we'll be able to match you with some of the finest professionals who's able to work with you to make your event a memorable one. Great. So head on over. Yep.
Thanks. Again, thanks, Jes Min, for taking the time to talk to us and inspiring our listeners to start their own ventures or continue building great products like Recomn. And listeners, do visit Recomn.com for more and visit us at theasianentrepreneur.com, and please subscribe to our show in iTunes and leave a review or what you think about this episode. Thanks again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. Our hope is that you are encouraged by what you've heard, and you can put these same concepts and mindsets to use with your own style. See you next time as we discover more about what it takes to be an accomplished entrepreneur. In the meantime, head over to theasianentrepreneur.com and check out show notes and other information to motivate you in your entrepreneurial endeavors.